So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cannabis and Coffee with me, Tamarijuana. Well, I guess we're getting some extreme weather all the way across the country today. It's minus 25. With the wind chill factor, I think it's minus 30 here. It's just ridiculous. Out in Vancouver, they've got snow, they got flooding in Ontario, and it's supposed to be springtime weather in the Maritimes. So welcome to Canada, eh? This morning, the reason why I'm kind of saying that is because my guests this morning are all from Australia. So Murray Cosatto, who hails out of Nimbin, New West Wales. Hey, say hello. And Francis and Kendra are with him as well, and everybody has flown over for Mum Cup. So we're going to talk a little bit to them about what they're doing, what they do in Australia, because there's a huge activist community over in Nimbin at the Nimbin Embassy. So good morning, Murray. How you doing?
Not too bad, just still waking up,
Yeah.
Getting used to the jet lag and being a day behind. That's something.
How long does it take to get used to it? Like really? Like does it take a week or so or?
Me, it probably takes about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I'm still feeling it, but other people can get over it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. Well,
depends
I seen you rolling around in the snow the other day. So how are you guys liking the snow?
The snow's amazing. That's something different altogether. I was very impressed. Not fussed on the cold, but when the snow came out, I was like, okay, I can deal with this.
It's not nearly as cold at the coast as it is where I am, but you were out here in the summertime last summer. Murray was here at my house last summer, so he got to drive through the BC Rockies and get to see part of our beautiful country as well when he was here last time. So it's a little colder than it was in the summertime. It's lots colder.
Yeah, when I came over in summer, I wasn't expecting it to be that warm. Like through the daytime, getting up in the 30s. So I was told your country was cold, and then I came over, it was really warm. Got back here now, it's freezing.
Different times of the season, right? And
Sure.
you found it chilly at night though when you were here too though, because you'd be wrapping yourself up at night. Yeah.
Rabbit blanket. Can't live without the rabbit blankets.
That's right. So, going back across the ocean here, you guys just finished having a great big hemp fest in Australia. So why don't you tell our Canadian listeners what you guys are doing over in Australia?
Well, Mardi Gras, we have, that's the first weekend in May. We have a massive protest that goes from one side of town to the other. All people across Australia, across the globe, come out for that march every year. It's it's pretty big. We're only we're really just the size of a village. We've only got about 700 people in our town, and once a year it turns into a massive party where we get like over 5,000, 6,000 people, 20,000 people sometimes. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it just blows up, and everyone gets together and smokes a joint, smokes a bong, takes a dab, gets the vaporizer out, and hides from the cops.
What are the laws like over in Australia as far as cannabis?
Laws in every state's different. New South Wales, where I'm from, where Nimbin is. We've got 14 grams decriminalised, but decriminalisation is a bit weird. You get about 3 strikes before you get to see before you have to go see a judge, and if you've already been caught before, those 3 strikes don't count for you at all. So it's not really decriminalised. And yeah, we have police are rampant. We're about 10 years behind everyone else. So we're still getting all the old games where you guys don't hear about cops trying to get online and talk to you and stuff. We still got all that bullshit.
So so decriminalize wouldn't be the same as our form of decriminalize. Like if we decided, like, because legalization over here, I'm sure you've heard a lot of what the Canadian government's doing for us, or what they're doing to us, I guess is how you want to put it. Prohibition 2.0. So with the, so decriminalize, so you get 3 strikes. I mean, does that mean if you're caught over the 15-gram limit?
Yeah, you get a you have to go to court. You get
so if you're under 15 grams all the time, you would never have a problem.
You get a caution, 3 cautions, and then you have to go to court, have a court appearance.
Right, but that's if you're
That's
dealing
if you're under
or
14. That's if you're under 14 grams. If you're
caught. Oh, okay.
But if you're caught over 14 grams, then it's a straight go to court.
Ah, I gotcha. So that would actually be more progressive than what we're doing over here in reality, because here, I mean, we're going to be allowed 30 grams, but I mean, it's still going to be anything over 30. So it's kind of the same, but not, I guess, more product rather than, but kind of the same type of thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oils don't even get count in that. Like, our government we've been pushing the whole non-smoking, smoking is bad, tobacco, everything is bad for the last 20 odd years, that now trying to bring cannabis in, that you can smoke cannabis and it's not going to harm you. That's a big shock factor for Australia. We don't understand that. We're still trying to learn that smoking tobacco is bad for you.
Right. And then they're pushing the smoking, and you're not allowed to have vaping over there. Is that what they're?
You can't smoke really anywhere anymore. You can still smoke at pubs and stuff, but.
Now, are you are dabs and that kind of thing readily available in Australia? Like, can you access that kind of stuff?
You can. Dabs is a tricky area. You got to know your people. Like it takes about 7 grams of bud to make 1 gram of oil in Australia, and so you're only pulling 4 grams out of an ounce down under, which is fucking ridiculous. And so oil is very expensive. You're paying anywhere between $80 and $150 for a gram. And,
holy cow!
And it's not purged. You're lucky to get anything really purged a decent amount of time. It's probably the most I've heard of someone purging is probably like 30, 40 hours, 50 hours.
Wow.
That's the longest. Most people will do it. There was one dude that used to wait till it was 40 degrees outside, and then he would chuck the oil in his car and let it purge that way.
Well, that's a good way of doing it. At least it's sun purged, nothing else. Actually, I've got a fellow here in town that does it that way too. He calls it sun oil, and that's how he takes the toxins off too. He just lets it sit in the sun for, I'm not sure, a couple days, I think, is how that kind of works. But on average too, like even our Canadian pot, we're still only getting about 1 gram per every 7 grams too, really. So that's not an unusual number. But now, is cannabis cultivation, like, are you allowed to cultivate for yourself in Australia?
No, you're not. Well, depends where you are. Like Canberra, where all our members of parliament live and everything, our state capital, they're allowed to grow 2 plants decriminalised. yeah, every state's different. New South Wales, you don't want to be caught full stop. Yeah, the laws are less harsh if you're growing outdoors. That's just as clear as day. They just want people to get caught.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's kind of like here.
Going over. Yeah, we've got helicopters going over for heat sensors. We've got drone planes that fly over the properties and stuff throughout the day. And
so it sounds like the government spends a fair amount of money policing cannabis in Australia too.
Sorry, just say that again.
I said it sounds like the law enforcement in Australia spends a fair bit of tax dollars on policing cannabis down there as well.
They do. We don't have the actual budget number because that would be shocking if we found out what that would be. But do you guys not get the stats from the government showing what they spend on law enforcement? We might. I've never actually had a look. We would. Francis has just got up.
Oh, excellent. Good morning, Francis. Well, I know this morning on CBC, our national news said that since 1985, cannabis consumption has gone up to 12.3% of Canadians from 5% Canadians. Well, when you think of the overall population of Canada, 12% of Canadians have admitted to smoking cannabis. That's not a large number. And here they are, wanting to, increase policing because of legalization for 12% of the population. So when they're citing billions of dollars to be coming out towards increasing law enforcement for policing cannabis in Canada, sounds like a huge number for 12% of the population. So that's, when you look at the stats when it comes to law enforcement and, what the actual numbers are for people that consume cannabis, it seems awfully ridiculous that they're going to spend billions of dollars policing peaceful people that don't do anything. Like even with 4 plants, like in our country too, as you've been hearing, different laws for different provinces too, but it'll still be federal law. So I guess it's a little different in Australia. You don't have one federal blanket that's going to, kind of give you the framework and then have each state. I guess it's kind of like in the U.S. where, like the States is like that too, right? Where they've got different patchworks. And I think that's one of my biggest concerns about legalization up here too, is the fact that the patchwork that's going to be across our country, where Quebec is not going to even allow personal cultivation.
I don't believe we're going to be allowed to cultivate in Australia at all. They're not going to let us have that opportunity, that right. We don't have rights in Australia, like, come on.
True. Well, that's how we feel over here too, right? I think it's funny because they're both Commonwealth countries, right? We're almost like, siblings when it comes to our laws in a lot of aspects, right? But when you really think about the actual laws that bear us with pot, like it's just, they're so archaic. Like on both continents, like even here, like this new whole Prohibition 2.0 type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Now you guys flew over a little over a week ago, and are enjoying the Canadian. So you're going to be speaking at the Mum Cup too, as well, right?
Yes, we'll be speaking at the Mum Cup. What that entails, that's the fun bit. I haven't found out yet.
Well, I was there last year, and it was an amazing time. So you guys will have fun. I know Francis. I think Francis was there last year too, and
no, Francis wasn't. Francis and Kendra weren't there last year.
Okay, who came over last year? I think
Michael and Kathleen came over.
Oh, Kathleen that's right. I was thinking it was Kathleen because I met them last year too. And Essie Thomas, of course, is here.
That's right.
And she's fabulous too. So you guys are all over. And how long are you staying? I'm
staying till just up before Mardi Gras. I'm going to fly back for that.
Excellent. So you'll be here for a while then.
Yeah, just for a while again. Enjoy the weather. Take in as much cannabis as possible.
Are you going to go skiing?
Skiing.
Are you going to try skiing or boarding or anything? Any Canadian sports while you're here?
I would like to try it, That's for sure. It's if I can get someone to take me up the mountain, that's a different story.
Oh, I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love to take Murray skiing. If you guys make it out here before the snow goes, I'll take you out to Kimberley. We'll go.
Yeah.
I'll take you skiing.
I can't believe how much snow's out your way. That's shocking.
We had 14 feet. We had 14 feet last year. This is actually half of what we had last year, so it's not too bad. But Australia gets snow in certain states too, do they not?
Sorry?
Australia gets snow too, right? Like in certain states.
Just in Jindabyne, and a couple of the mountains get it, but you got to go hiking to go hang out in that snow. It's not fun.
So there's no gondolas that are going to take you up.
that's in Jindabyne. You can go there, and they've got a couple of mountains down there. You can go, snow in the fake snow and stuff like that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. So when you guys have your Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras is like a great big, huge event down there. So you bring in people from internationally, obviously, because Asia goes over every year too.
Absolutely.
And she's Weed Woman Australia, right? So, I'd love to, to be able to get over there one time, for this as well, because it just seems like I've seen pictures, and but for it to explode the way it does just in one little town. Now, is cannabis activism as prevalent all over the country, or is there more pockets of smaller? Like, how does everybody get together, state to state, or because the laws are different in each state, they do different things, or?
It's pretty quiet across the country. Like we do have activists in every state, big activists, and they set up. Like Adelaide, they have like 420 session meetings, and you have Melbourne has a 420 march once a year where they get about 4,000 or 5,000 people. And then you've got Nimbin, you've got this who does Mardi Gras, and then there's the Safe Crew. They do once a month. They go around to different states and do a smoking sesh with different people. But it's not huge. It's slowly building. We're still very scared about letting people know we smoke, in a sense.
So you're still in the cannabis closet. 90% of Australia, which in reality, like I said, when you look at the statistics even here, if only 12.3% of Canadians are admitting, and I mean, that's the thing, you have to, admit to it, right? Like, I mean, how do we know that the people are actually telling the truth? Because I think those numbers are a bit low, quite frankly, but I mean, like, it's, there's people that work in healthcare and people that work in different aspects of, they can't come out and say yes. Because I honestly believe that if everybody that smoked cannabis in our country actually stepped out of their closet and said, hey, we're not putting up with this anymore, we would have, bigger than 12.3% numbers, especially when, they come up with stats saying that, like, what was that? I think 80% of Canadians believe that cannabis should be legalized. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that percentage is actually consuming it, right?
No, that's
so. True. Yeah, it doesn't. It makes it kind of hard to pinpoint exactly where we should be heading in the next realm of waves. Now we've got constitutional challenges going on all across the country here because of dispensary raids. Yeah. And I think you've probably heard a lot of heard us talking about that as well. Now, do you have dispensaries in Australia? Like, are there dispensaries in Australia?
No, not official dispensaries. There's two main places that help people out in Australia. You've got Hemp Embassy and Ubuntu down in Newcastle. Besides that, there's just collectives and people out there trying to help people.
Right. So a lot of underground movement.
Very.
Same as it is pretty much here too. Because I mean, even with what we've got putting in front of us, there's still like dispensaries are that gray. It's not technically legal, and unless you've got a business license, there are variants, like even in Vancouver. But those variances cost a lot of money. Like those business licenses in Vancouver are $30,000, I think, dollars a year. I don't know how, like, and that's where I think when we're coming into the future, how we're going to see that go municipality to each little town that's going to be wanting to have business licensing. And then again, everybody's going to have to buy from the licensed producers. So again, that leaves, that gray illegal area. And even 30 grams is a lot. It's just over an ounce, but it's still not that much. But on that note, we're going to take a quick break and thank my sponsors, who are 12 High Chicks Magazine, that are hosting the Mum Cup this weekend, February 23rd, 24th, and 25th. So if you're able to get to Vancouver this weekend, you can get a hold of them at www.12highchicks.com. Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners, MUM, the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana, and the Haley Rose Foundation. Shout out to happy birthday to Remo Colasanti. It's his 50th birthday today, so happy birthday, Remo. And our first song is going to be a local artist here out of Cranbrook. His name is Dawson Rutledge. He's actually on the CBC right now for folk music. They're doing a Canadian Awards. You can go on to CBC Music Awards and vote for Dawson. So this is Dawson Rutledge, his first song, and it's Same Old News. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Cheech.
And this is Chong.
And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
What is it?
Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time.
420 radio?
Ooh.
Hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
I've been round the block a few too many times to know there is nothing more to show for you. You only knew what was coming straight for you. There was a time when no one knew a thing about my name. Well, it was such a shame back when we were just all wee little kids. Gather round and you will hear the sound that I once feared. No, it ain't gonna give you the blues, 'cause darling, it's just the same old news. I've been living life so lonely, I should probably go where the loving feels so safe. Back home, where my mama draws the pain alone. Don't listen any longer, it's so misleading, don't you know? Or remember a thing that you were told long ago, when the small talk was all for show. Gather round and you will hear the sound that I once feared. No, it ain't gonna give you the blues, 'cause darling, it's just the same old news. Oh, oh, oh. This is a feeling that cannot be described. One night just feels so pure, and this is a high that cannot be prescribed. And I have never felt so alive, and that's something you already knew. 'Cause darling, I'm just the same old news.
And we are back with Murray Cosatto, and Kendra has now joined us. Good morning, Kendra. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, we're freezing. We were just talking about that over the break, how Kendra was saying she just left 40 above weather to come to Canada to minus 40 degree weather. It's not quite as bad enough. We were also talking a little bit over the break about how criminal records affect our ability to travel. And we were talking about my daughter's got I guess it's a credit from Air Canada. So she's offered to take me to Mexico. And I was talking about the fact that I'm not sure I can travel to Australia with a trafficking charge. But Kendra, you were saying that Frances got to Canada. She's got some charges from Australia and there was no issues, right?
Yeah, she's here.
She's here.
We were a bit scared that we weren't going to get all the way through, but we're here. She's
That's
just
excellent.
got a few more charges than what she admitted on her card.
And, sometimes we have to fudge that a little, right?
Yeah, so it's only a little, just a little fudge, but, it's all done. We're here.
Do you guys have to transfer flights, or is there direct flights from Australia to Canada?
Direct flight, which was really good.
Oh,
14-hour flight direct.
Yeah, 14-hour flight direct.
That's excellent, because I know at one point, a few years ago, actually it was many years ago, we were looking at going to Australia. We had to transfer in Bali, Thailand, and there was stops that we, to get over to Australia. They must have made the planes hold more fuel now or something. But
yeah, they must have. Because I think we used to have to go to Melbourne first and then up to Brisbane. So
you did.
Flying directly out from Brisbane.
Asia said
that's terrific.
Fly down to Melbourne.
So.
Yeah, that's terrific, because that gives me hope then, because like I said, I can't land in the U.S., right?
No.
And that, of getting direct flights out of Canada to, somewhere warm.
Flights straight there.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So what do you do down in Australia, Kendra? Whereabouts do you come from, and what do you do when you're out there?
I come from Nimbin, and I work volunteer at the Hemp Embassy downstairs in the medical dispensary of Francis and Murray.
Excellent. So you're a frontline worker, a dispensary bud tender, and one of our frontline activists. Then I shout out to the bud tenders in our country too, because you guys are on the front lines. You're risking your freedom for patients, and we commend. That's one of the best. The best kudos I could ever give somebody, because we have people across this country right now that. Thankfully, some of them have had, discharges, and their charges have been stayed. But there's lots of bud tenders out there that risk their freedom every single day, because they're not stopping the raids here in Canada either.
No.
Yeah, no.
They're not going to stop them down under either.
No. And I mean, it's an international problem.
They're actually raiding us as we're flying out. They're just about to hit our area, Nimbin area.
Oh my!
As we were leaving, as they'd already done around Melbourne and all that. So
yep.
Be interesting to see what's happened when we get back.
Yeah, so they just got out.
So do they charge because it's over 15 grams? Is it can you traffic under 15 grams? Can you share under the 15 gram limit, or is it
can't share at all?
At all, okay. Because I think here they're going to allow you to share within the 30 gram limit, right? You can't sell, but you can share. So you're trading, 3 grams to somebody for another 3 grams. I think that's going to be allowed here. So that's a definite no in Australia too. So when they come in and do the raids, what do your jail sentences look like?
Oh, they're big. They're big.
Good morning, Asia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's there's a lot of people facing a lot of lots of hefty sentences for late pants.
Just depends on your circumstances. Some people have got 5-year sentences, 3 without parole for growing 100 plants.
Depends if you've been busted before or not.
It really does.
Kind of like here as well, like our jail sentencing, we came into Bill C-51 a few years ago, which made a mandatory minimum 6 months for even one joint. They think they were all discretionary, nothing really. I haven't heard that anybody's actually gone to jail for a joint. But even with this new
I've heard of someone going to jail for passing a joint.
Yes, but the 14-year jail sentencing for cultivation has been pretty standard across this country for years. So, I mean, that being said, with this new Prohibition 2.0, the jail sentencing for cultivation isn't going to go increase. It's going to stay the same, but they're adding, different elements to that 14-year jail sentencing, like passing off to anybody under the age of 18 or 19, depending on the province, right? So it's going to be, again, like, we were talking before, how much tax dollars are we putting into law enforcement for 12.3% of the population? And that being said, I'd like to welcome May Moon's just come into the room. So we got May and Kendra and Murray now all sitting on the show. So welcome. Good morning, Asia.
Good morning.
And so we were talking a little bit about jail sentencing and the difference between our countries. And so that being said,
that people forget to talk about or don't talk about is asset forfeiture, proceeds of crime, and the heavy fines people get after those heavy jail sentences.
Right. That's absolutely true, because they do. If the police can prove that your house or your car were profits of crime, they take it. It's gone. You never see it again.
Colombia, it's the other way around. It's no quibble.
You have to prove.
So you have to prove that it wasn't proceeds of crime in British Columbia.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah,
the rest of
that's
Canada's
right.
the other way around. They have to prove that it was proceeds.
Right, and the other thing in BC, though, too, they have to prove a case against you before they charge you, where in the rest of the other provinces, they don't. They can come in and bust you off a phone call from Crime Stoppers saying, hey, that guy's over there, he's trafficking. And anywhere else in Canada, they can come in and bust you off that one phone call. In British Columbia, they actually have to build a case against you, and the Crown has to go ahead and charge you. So that's a little different in British Columbia for charging crime as well. So, there's different things. So, you guys ready for the Mum Cup?
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
Yeah. The Mum Cup. Woo!
Yeah, no doubt, eh? Kendra, so you've been to Canada before, or is this your trip? First trip?
My first trip.
And how are you finding it besides the weather being crappy?
Adventurous so far.
Driving on the other side of the road.
Driving on the other side of the road is a bit backwards for me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't even think of that.
Getting in driver's side instead of, that's our driver's side, your passenger side, that's backwards for me.
Yeah, I never even thought of that part of it either, right? And then the weather's different, and then our laws are different. So do you guys feel a little freer when you get here when it comes to cannabis, or do you feel like, how do you feel about the cannabis? Or do you feel like you're not as inhibited when you're here?
And I like in my own town, I just if I want to smoke, I'll have a smoke. It doesn't matter where I am, I'll roll my joint. But here I'm still a bit say if I was in the city at home, I still feel a bit that way when I'm here, like somebody's watching me,
Yeah.
I don't know, just a bit out of place.
Absolutely. I know even, when we roll around our own country with papers and stuff, you still, I still find after 25 years, I still tuck myself into a doorway. Don't let anybody see me. But, we should really not have to feel that way, especially if you're a licensed patient, right? Like, there's many of us in Canada that hold those ACMPR paperwork, and we shouldn't have to feel like we have to hide anymore. And I think with our laws changing, and hopefully that this internationally, that cannabis becomes so mainstream that people don't look at us like they discriminate against us. And that's the reality. I don't think mainstream actually gets it. But when somebody calls me,
so we
go
get
ahead.
We get that in Nimbin, anybody says, we come from Nimbin, and everyone, straight away, well, obviously you're a pot smoker.
Mm-hmm.
It's straight away, it doesn't matter whether you're a pot smoker or not. If you say that you come from Nimbin or that vicinity of that place, you
do drugs.
You do drugs, straight up. And,
Wow. Yeah. And that's the worst part about it. They don't, the whole scheduling of cannabis. Making it sound like it's an illicit drug like heroin when we all know it's absolutely not.
Absolutely. Yeah, for
so
Mardi
what other
Gras,
exciting...
this year we had riot squad in the town. They changed up every year. We got new police that patrol the town for Mardi Gras. They bring in new recruits and they tell them that we're all drugged up hippies and you can't trust us and you got to watch your back because we're ready to attack and shit like that. So they come into the town all aggressive and ready to pounce on people. By the end of the last day of Mardi Gras, they're just walking around and they can see we're not going to harm them or anything.
Right.
And next year there's a new recruits. They never bring in the same people. And they officially only arrested 4 people last Mardi Gras. So they spun it on the news that it was because of the riot squad that kept the town safe. They only arrested 4 people. No, they screwed up. They had a quota, and the next 2 weeks after Mardi Gras, they were in the town pulling everyone over trying to get that quota.
Wow, that's crazy. But I think that's the same way we look at things here too. Like, there's always a quota. Every 420 that happens in Vancouver, we are hoping that nobody gets arrested. And they always, pick on the kids, right? Like, let's go take a picture, like the media, right? They'll zoom in on, somebody that's just on the borderline, maybe 18 years old. Maybe she looks like she's 15, but she's probably 18. Yeah. And she's sitting on the lawn smoking a bong. And that's where the media always zones in on, keep it away from the children. It's harming the children. Like, Jesus Christ, it's not harming anybody. Like, get that through your fucking heads. Like, what do you think how harmful is it when we're all, eating chips and, hanging out and all getting along? Like, I've never been to a cannabis event where we've had a brawl. Yeah. And I've been to a lot of cannabis events, and there is liquor served at some of these events as well, but I've never been to a cannabis event where we've had a brawl, like where people are, fisticuff fighting. Like, never. So I just wish that they would quit propaganding cannabis. Like, and that's how I feel. It's just like, the reefer madness 2018, and it's just continues on. And we really, I think
madness still lives really well in Australia. Like, everybody's still on about it.
Absolutely.
Everybody, like, I got a 14-year-old son that gets harassed by police, like walking down the street with his mates, and he doesn't touch pot. He's never touched pot in his life, but he still gets harassed because he's a big boy, and because they've gotten rid of all the other big boys in our towns, they're going after every kid in town. It's just getting to the point where
anyone that looks like they could sell pot, they're getting targeted by the police.
Is there no council that you can go to dispute any of this? Like, we have ombudsmen in Canada, and we can file formal complaints. Is there not some entity like that in Australia?
Yeah, they don't have the rights to fight anything like that where they're from. There's no constitution. There's no charter of rights. There's no nothing.
I'd just be making more trouble for my son if I went and whinged about it. So the cops would just harass him more and more and more until he did something wrong, and then they would have, ammunition to do something to him.
Wow, am I ever happy to be Canadian right now? Like, and I think many of us feel that way anyways. But when I hear that a country doesn't have any civil liberty rights and no charter rights, that's scary.
Yeah. We've got drug testing on the road. We've got police cameras all along the streets. Like drug swabs. Yeah,
so it's a police state. It's a police state, pretty much.
I've been swabbed before in Australia, except mine failed because I had used my medicine that day. But yeah, they don't even really ask. They're like, we're swabbing you. Give us your license. Open your mouth. We'll be back.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
So you must feel really weird when you go there, hey? Because you're so used to being free here because we've got our paperwork. We're, pretty, liberal around here. We just kind of light up. I mean, I'm one to admit that I'll be walking down the street and light one up, not, but not over there. I guess you wouldn't feel like you'd be able to do that.
you forget that you're not free until somebody tells you something. And it was Coral Reefer. She got pulled over and she was swabbed, and of course she came up positive. And then another gentleman from the States also got swabbed in the same year. So you forget, and then someone tells you, hey, we just lost our rights to drive, like for the next year in Australia. And we just guess here.
Coral was like, I just got off the plane a couple of days ago. I'm a medical patient. Here's my card. And they're like, oh, that's cool, but it makes no difference. You're in our country. These are our rules. You've got it in your system. You can't drive.
Wow. Well, on that note, we're going to take another quick break. That's really disheartening. I again would like to thank my sponsors, who are 12 High Chicks Magazine, Mum Cup this weekend, February 23rd, 24th, and 25th, Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners, the Haley Rose Foundation, and Mum, the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana. We are going to play an Essie Thomas tune. So sit down, everybody, and take a good listen to this Essie Thomas. She's out of Australia. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing, not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as a daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reef Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with Cannabis and Coffee with Tamarijuana. Then tune in and catch Pottawa with Russell Barth, who calls himself the world's angriest pothead. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham and joint host Kim Cooper and Alicia Yashishin. No week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show, featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gignac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at lifestyleradio.net or at our sister site, 420radio.ca.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
I'll have to wave goodbye. And I'll watch you as you fly away, with words that have come back to me, and I promise to be safe and to hold on. Hold on. Hold on, Lord. Oh, if you will leave in here tomorrow,
Excellent. And we are back with all kinds of people from Australia. We got Dennis Bosselberg from the U.S. is now in the room. So May Moon and Kendra and Murray and Dennis. And we're all back to, we were talking about, and Essie Thomas. Yes, and you just heard Essie, and she's fabulous, isn't she, everybody? So we're going to give a little clap because I love her music. So Dennis, now that you're in the room, we're talking about no constitution in Australia. We already know what the Constitution's like here. What's the U.S. Constitution like?
Oh, you mean when they actually follow it?
Yeah.
It's supposed to give the rights to the people. But unless you have jury nullification, that doesn't happen.
Absolutely. Genesis with 420 POW with Adela Falk as well. We had Adela on our show a couple weeks ago. So Dennis is all works with Adela as well with POWs in the States and the jails. So welcome to the show too, Dennis. It's good to have you. So you're all up for Mum Cup, and that's going to be this week, and that's going to be a fabulous event. I'm really sad that I'm missing it this year, but you're going to have live stream, Asia?
There's going to be a few different networks that will be covering the event. We have Cannabis Culture with Expert Joints. We have Jeremiah with CNN, or is it CCN? He does a really cool cannabis network for Pot TV. We also have Marijuana Man, who will be live streaming from his outlets, which is YouTube, Facebook, and I want to say something else, but I'm not entirely sure. And then we have Coral Reaper, who will also be doing Stony Sundays with us and doing her own live feed as well. So tune into those and you can catch it.
Excellent. And I'm going to try and send somebody around with a mic. I've been still trying to find somebody that we can, Lifestyle Radio can come and pop in as well. So hopefully we'll find, I'm hoping to hear back from Cheryl Rhodes that she's going to roll around and ask some questions and talk to people while she's there. So hopefully Lifestyle Radio will be there, and Cannabis and Coffee with Tamarijuana vicariously through online. So that's something else we're kind of working on our end to be there. What other events have you got planned? I know I see lots of board games and other kind of things. Adult evening for Friday night though, right? Just adult entertainment. So anybody under the age of 19 not admitted?
That's correct. You've got to be old enough to get in the door. There will be marijuana being used for recreational purposes, and like the government said, we don't want children around that. And I mean, I'm sure I'd really enjoy going to a lesbian paradise in brick walls, but I'm going to try and stay here with my kids. So.
Good grief.
I think it's crazy if I give a joint to someone who's 19, it's fine. I give it to someone who's 18, and then that's it. Like, it's over. Just wild.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. Yeah, and we'll be going to jail for 14 years. And that's where the whole aspect, too, like you figure, I don't know, when I was 16, I was dating a guy that was in his 20s. So if that 20-year-old gave me a joint when I was 16, he'd go to jail.
Yeah.
And for longer than statutory rape. Like,
that's the part that bothers me, is we have some very serious, violent crimes that mess people up, and we're willing to put people in jail for 14 years for giving marijuana to a minor, which I realize is not the best thing, I suppose. Like, you shouldn't be buying alcohol for kids either. They should find their own way to get it.
Right.
But, that's what we did when we were teenagers. There's no way I would ever condone my kids doing stuff like that. But they're gonna figure it out on their own. But I also feel like if we're gonna put out huge sentences like that, then rape should be 25 years mandatory minimum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we should make it that other crimes are more extreme instead of, you know, like the most I've ever heard of a rapist going to jail for is like a couple months.
5 years maximum.
I've never,
first offense, and then the victim has to actually prove that it actually happened. I think that's the most appalling thing with our justice system, you know, anywhere, is that a victim has to prove that the rapist actually did something. The rapist doesn't have to prove he didn't, and then he goes to jail for 3 months if you do get a conviction out of him. But they don't have to prove that you passed that joint. They don't have to prove anything as long as they got that bag of weed. That's their evidence, and off you go. So there are a lot.
Minors from other minors, essentially. So if a
Absolutely.
17-year-old gives a 15-year-old a joint, that 17-year-old is in that category where they can be tried as an adult.
Absolutely. But you have to go back to
that protects kids from kids in there.
That's right. There's not. That's right. And you're absolutely right about that. Now you have to wonder about, you know, because they're stating that kids over 15, like that they're 15-year-olds smoking cannabis. So what if it's a 15-year-old to a 15-year-old? Where are they going to put that in there? Because there's no consensus for that either. Are they going to put a 15-year-old in jail for 14 years with a bunch of, like, let's face it, any jail in this country, whether you're 15 or whether you're 50, if you've never been in one, you don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially for cannabis. Whether it's this country, the U.S., Australia, anywhere. When you're a cannabis consumer or a cannabis user, you're not wanting to be in a prison where there's rapists and murderers and violent criminals. So,
you shouldn't have to.
Right.
And Canada's done this huge thing where we have a bunch of privatized prisons. This isn't entirely new, but now we're, you know, creating
that's what we're doing.
a slave labor workforce.
That's what we're
Yes.
doing.
That's why we're making these huge mandatory minimums to supply workers to this inexpensive workforce that we're creating. It's really gross, actually. Americans have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
You guys are the master of slave labor because you got rid of actual slavery and just created all these giant privatized prisons and threw them in there.
Indentured servitude is much more economical than slavery. You don't end up having capital outlay of actually purchasing a human and having to maintain them. Mm-hmm. They get sick and you just say, sorry.
Replace them.
We don't have health care for you and I'm not paying for your health. And they get replaced.
Yeah, they literally bury them and replace them. And it's not quite there yet in Canada, but it's coming with these kind of huge prison sentences that are going to be start handing down.
Yeah. The sad thing about it is that basically cannabis prohibition is tyranny. And the people that are committing the criminals are the people enforcing the tyranny.
Yeah, I agree. And in the States, too, I've heard that you can be sick in a jail or go to jail, and then you get out of jail, and the jail will send you a bill.
Yeah, you have to pay for your own health card, yes. And, well, not only that, marijuana prisoners go to maximum security. So now you have somebody, little Johnny, that just got off the street, gets busted. Next thing he wakes up, he's in a prison with the mother rapers, the father's rapers, and all sorts of other hideous people.
Yes.
He has no clue even how to begin to deal with. Never mind how they think. It's crazy. So
I think that's the most appalling thing.
Kids turn into hardened criminals because that's what they got to do to survive.
Yeah, and then they're charged for violent crime in jail, and then they're kept there. And then it's just a continual cycle. Like they commit the crime in jail, so they get added more time to that jail sentence, so they're staying in that jail longer. Then they commit another crime to survive in jail, so then they continue to stay in that jail longer, and it's survival. Because I don't know how else to put it. Like when you're put into a cage, you go into survival, and whether you're a first time offender or not, you're still in. You know, you're going to be in survival mode. It's a horrendous thing to think that people that consume cannabis would end up in such a situation, but it's happening, and it's happening regularly all across our country and your country and in Australia. That's and that's what's appalling. I think that we just don't have any rights as cannabis consumers, no matter where we live.
Yeah. Also, after 5 years in jail, you are permanently damaged.
I think after 5 minutes you're in jail, you're permanently damaged. I honestly believe it only takes 5 minutes You know, like you go in there and you've never seen somebody stab somebody, and all of a sudden you're getting in through A&D and somebody's being stabbed in front of you. It can take that little of a time to destroy you for life. So, you know, like I just don't think the prison system is the best place for pot people. I don't think it's the best place. I just don't believe in prisons. I believe in rehabilitation, I guess, but there's, you know, the hardened criminals out there that need to be, I guess, behind bars. That's a whole different show. That's a whole different show.
Exactly.
So we're coming to the end of our time, you guys. So I'd like to thank you guys all for being on my show. Asia, I'd like you to give a shout out to everybody that needs and where they need to be and how they can get tickets for the Mum Cup.
You can actually come down to our headquarters, which is Unit 912 at Building 207 West Hastings Street, Vancouver. We actually have 30 tickets for general admission we're giving away until Thursday evening, which we close at 7. Yeah, we're open from noon to 7. And then after that, there'll be tickets available until the doors open, and then that's it. There's no more tickets.
So no tickets available at the door, people.
Couple VIPs left.
Excellent. And you're also shuttling people, right, back and forth because the venue has moved?
So the venue has moved actually to several cities down the road, which is kind of crazy, but it's a big, beautiful venue. I really, really enjoy it. There will be a shuttle every hour on the hour starting at 3 o'clock. And then again, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 9 o'clock, and then we'll stop at 9, just because the venue is going to close at midnight. And then the shuttles will start leaving from 10 o'clock from the venue in Surrey until until 1 o'clock in the morning.
So the venue opens at.
Go ahead.
The venue opens at 4:20, right? 4:20 on Friday afternoon, right?
That's
till midnight. Or yeah. Excellent, excellent. And shuttles will be running from Cannabis Culture headquarters every hour on the hour, everybody.
So yeah, if you miss the shuttle, you can either come up to our office or you can hang out at CC and get stoned while you wait. And there's also shuttles running from Surrey Central SkyTrain Station that will be every hour, I believe. It'll be all up on the website pretty soon, but I'll be running people from there too. So if you missed the shuttle and you want to get going in the right direction, you can hop on the SkyTrain and get off at Surrey Central. And there'll be people there with a Wolf Moon publishing, what's that called? Lanyards, so you'll be able to identify them. You just show them your pass, get in the shuttle, and they'll take you there.
That's so excellent. Boy, that's a big undertaking. You guys have done a great job, and you've had some help. Penny has helped, and Jay has helped. So you've had some great organizers, event organizers helping you along the way too. And then some great entertainment. Who is Precious Chong is coming, is she not?
Tommy Chong's daughter, and she's a comedian. She's coming out from Ontario to entertain us for about 45 minutes. And she's going to help me host the award ceremony.
That is excellent. Excellent. And some comedians and some other fun stuff. So if you guys are able to get out to the coast this weekend, or if you're at the coast this weekend, get a hold of May Moon, and she will get you to where you want to be this weekend for some really good times. Again, I'd like to thank Murray and Kendra all the way from Australia, from Nimbin, explaining to us what, goes on in Australia. And, I'm glad to have you over here. I wish you guys could stay because, it doesn't sound like it's too grand. I mean, except for the weather. You guys don't get our weather.
It's worth having just an oil diet for 3 months to escape the winter. Their oil is amazing here.
You told me that too. And thanks, Dennis, for popping in too. He's from the States, and good to hear from you, and keep hearing what all the things that go on down in the U.S. I mean, I think there's a meme for that, and it's us shaking our heads watching what's going on in the U.S. But hopefully things everywhere across our country too, and in the States, that they get some, pull their heads from their asses and actually get legalization done right. I guess they're going to push ours off into September now, I'm hearing. So our joys of recreational or whatever legalization are being pushed off too. So again, I guess it's hold your breath, people, and wait, because that's what we've been doing now for the last 10 years. So you guys all have a great week. Next week, I'm going to have Cody and Zana on their documentary film people that are doing a documentary on dispensary owners. They'll be on my show for next week. So again, thank my sponsors, who are 12 Hard Chicks Magazine, Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partner Society, Mum, the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana, and the Haley Rose Foundation. You all have a good week and stay warm. Bye.
Bye.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.